All right, we've got 37 attendees, which is exciting. Thank you all for joining from all over the world. We will get started right on time because we have a packed agenda. Of you that are not members of the Dev program, we're going to be talking about the Microsoft 365 Developer Program today. What the value is of it for you as a developer, how it can help you easily get a developer sandbox. And if you're not already a member, I encourage you to look in the chat window. I put in a link on how to join the Microsoft 365 Dev program free. There are two different ways that I'll actually show you during today's presentation how you can join. One is directly through that link, and another way is through the Visual Studio Enterprise or Pro subscription that you might have. So stay tuned and you'll see a demo on how I can do that there and what the different benefits are. So we'll be getting going in just a few minutes. I will be moderating this myself, so please be patient with me, and we will. I will get to your questions. And Jason's got some great questions about the sample pack, which I'll talk about in a minute. We'll talk a little bit about why the packs were unavailable. Also, they're going to be made available, which we've got some good news on. Thank you very much for your interest. Okay, we are at 9 o'clock. Good morning, everybody. This is exciting to do our first virtual build, and really appreciate everyone here. We've got about 64 attendees, which is super exciting. Nice big audience. I was doing a presentation on our app validation last night at 11:30. So it's nice to see an audience that's 7 times the size that I had last night. It's very encouraging, so I appreciate it. Okay, let's talk a bit about our agenda today. And I am sending this across. Oops, looks like we got a problem with our send right now. There we go. So here's our agenda. I'm going to just give you a brief introduction on myself, and then talk a little bit about what is the developer program, the best way to get developer sandbox, and also what's new and what's coming. And we'll have interactive Q&A throughout this event. As I said, you questions, you can please put them in the chat window. And because I don't have a moderator today and I'm flying solo, it may take me a little bit of time to get to those, but I'm hoping I can have some moments during my presentation where I can some of those questions. Yes, Alexi, hey. Nice to see you, Alexi. You were here at 3 a.m. Last night on my presentation. I appreciate you coming back to see me this afternoon, your time. So welcome, everybody. Okay, so let's just get this show on the road. So a couple obligatory slides at the front end. I'm sure you have already seen these. Just make sure that we've, hold on a minute. We've got a little bit of a weird thing going on with the slides. Hold on a minute. There we go. So these are the obligatory slides on how to engage. Please use the chat box. You can post or use your name. And then the questions will appear to all once approved. Upvote your favorites using the thumbs up. And I will be answering either verbally or in text, most likely verbally, given that I'm running solo. And that's for internal use. Oh, we're getting some weird delays here, and I'm sorry about this. I'm going to take the video off here for a second, see if I can get this going. Okay, great. This session may be recorded for internal use. I encourage people to take pictures of key slides that I may have where you've got URLs or information that might be helpful for you, but please don't record the session. And if you can, as I said, I'm flying solo today, so don't spam the chat too much. Everyone should be aware of the code of conduct and adhere to that code of conduct. I'm not going to go through the code of conduct. I think you've all seen the slide, and you also saw it earlier when you registered. So let's see if we can move past the code of conduct, and we'll talk about and introduce myself. So here we go. Going to be with this on the live send here. Just 1 second, guys. There we go. So let me introduce myself. My name is Michael Aldridge. I'm a senior program manager here in the Microsoft 365 platforms team. I'm in charge of both the app validation program and the Microsoft 365 developer program, and have been for about 3 years. Just a fun fact about me, I scuba dive with sharks without a cage. That's kind of my fun, and I've been to a number of the countries you see in the slide. I'm hoping, COVID willing, that I will finally get to French Polynesia this summer. We'll see, it's touch and go, but there's an amazing grouper spawning that happens down there. I'm hoping that I can actually see the sharks feed there, which should be going. Okay, there's some people that are having audio issues, it looks like. It says it's a little in and out on my, sorry if I'll try to speak closer to my mic there. Thanks, everybody. Okay, let's talk about the Microsoft Developer Program and what it is. So really, the Microsoft 365 Developer Program, and we used to be called Office 365, but we've transformed into the Microsoft 365 Developer Program over the last year, which we're excited about. We really are designed to help connect you, developers, to the tools, resources, and expertise that you need to create solutions across the Microsoft 365 solution surfaces or workloads. That includes SharePoint, it includes Teams, Outlook, Excel, Word, and PowerPoint, as well as Microsoft Graph and Microsoft Identity. So since we launched our new improved program back in 2018, we've seen just amazing growth. We've got over 300,000 members as of, by June of this next month, we expect to hit our 300,000th member, which we're super excited about. So we've just had a lot of activity from people that are interested all over the world. This is a great slide that you might want to take a picture of in terms of how to join the program and some of our key benefits. Really, when we talked to developers, when we were building this about 3 years ago, the top thing that people said to us was, hey, I really need to be able to get a sandbox that I can easily use in my organization so that I can prototype things and I can test things. And so we wanted to make sure that we provided an easy way within about 5 minutes to get a Microsoft 365 E5 subscription. And back when we started, it was an E3 subscription. And then we also wanted to actually, we heard from developers that they really wanted to have an easy way to configure their sandbox, that they spend a lot of time figuring out how to add users and add sample data. And so we wanted to make sure that we automate that process. And then we also wanted to make sure that people could access Microsoft 365 experts. They could join our boot camps and monthly community calls, as well as get access to tools, training, and documentation, and our blogs, newsletters, and social community. So this is a nutshell of the Microsoft 365 Developer Program today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through some of the value of this and why it can be helpful to you. So one of the first things is actually just the most valuable thing the program offers is that it gives you as a developer your own renewable Microsoft 365 E5 subscription. And you get up to 25 users on that subscription. And when you get it, it has a 90-day life. And if you do a lot of development activity on that, then we will actually renew it. And you'll get that tenant renewed for as long as you're doing development. So this is really a great way to get started, particularly in a situation where you have an admin that's basically not willing to give you a tenant to play with. We've had a number of developers who told us in large enterprises that that's difficult. This is a way for you to get that sandbox that you're looking for, that you can play with and try out different Microsoft 365 solutions. Now, there's two ways to join the program, and I want to make sure everybody understands this because it's actually super valuable. Now, if you are a developer with Visual Studio Pro or Visual Studio Enterprise, we actually integrate with that. And so if you join the program through the Visual Studio Pro or Enterprise portal, we'll actually link up directly and federate your ID when you join the program. And then what's the benefit of that? Well, the benefit is that since we know that you have a Visual Studio subscription, we're going to give you perpetual renewal. That means that you will have your tenant for as long as you want, or not, I shouldn't say as long as you want. You will have your tenant for as long as you have a Visual Studio Professional or Enterprise subscription. We've actually linked the expiration date of those subscriptions. So it makes it a lot easier for you so that if you want to keep a tenant for a very long period of time and you want to be able to play around with it, you can, and you don't have to worry about it expiring every 90 days. Now, if you don't have a Visual Studio Pro or Enterprise subscription, you can actually still get our free dev subscription right here, and you can sign up at the link that I placed in the chat window. The subscription will be renewed every 90 days based on your developer activity. Now, a couple of questions that I just saw come in that I'd like to just stop and mention. So, does Power Platform come under Microsoft 365 Dev Program? If so, does it include the AI Builder in it? That's a really good question, and I don't know that I have a full answer for you on the Power Platform stuff. I think it may, but I'd have to get back to you on that. So I apologize, I don't have a full answer on the Power Platform. How does Azure fit into this picture, or is it separate? That is a really good question. Azure itself is separate, but we do include Azure AD. So it's a little bit of a complex answer there. Azure AD is included, obviously, as part of the Office 365 subscription. But if you're looking for Azure itself, you need to actually get your own Azure trial through their trial program. Okay, let's, now what I was going to do is I was going to quickly demo for everybody how you can through the Visual Studio portal. So here I'm in Visual Studio Enterprise, and this is my subscription. Can everybody see this, hopefully? And you'll see here, here's a tile here in your subscription when you're in myvisualstudio.com, where you can activate Microsoft 365's developer subscription for E5. And you can see there that we have Azure AD, as I mentioned, as well as support for Graph, SharePoint, Microsoft Teams, Excel, Outlook. Now I'm going to click Activate, and that's going to actually take me to the developer program, and it's going to authenticate me, and then it's going to ask me to go through the sign-up process. Now, in this case, I've already signed up, so I've skipped a couple steps because I'm already in the program, but then I just set up my subscription here, and I basically automatically start to create my username, my domain, my password, and then press continue, and literally I will have my subscription in about 5 minutes. So that's how you, now once you have that subscription, you'll see that it's actually automatically renewed. You'll see right here, it says renewable. Right? In this case, I've got a subscription here from the free service that expires on August 18th. But if I was a Visual Studio subscriber, it would say automatically renewed over here in the tile. So that's something that you can look for, is if you do have a Visual Studio Pro or Enterprise subscription, highly recommend for you to get your tenant through that. And that will make it much easier for you. That'll make it much easier for you so that it's automatically renewed. So there's let me come back here, and let's talk a little bit about what's new in the dev program. So a couple of things that we did in this past year. One is that we launched E5 subscriptions back in the fall of 2019. So when we first started the program, it was a Microsoft 365 or Office 365 E3 subscription. We added the benefits of E5 to our subscribers. One of the challenges that we've heard from our customers, particularly existing customers who joined us early on, is that how do I get my E5 subscription if I've already got an E3? And we know that's been a big pain point, and I've got some exciting news that I'll talk about at the end that's coming in June to help you with that. The other thing that we have are new sandbox creation tools. We call them sample data packs. And I know Jason was asking some questions about this earlier. Now, we actually launched sample data packs for Graph and then we've actually recently launched them for SharePoint. So I wanted to just quickly show you what those look like right here. So if you see here in my tile, you'll see that I've got, these are actually already installed. And if I click on users, I can actually add 16 fictitious users with licenses, mailboxes, names, and metadata. And so I've already installed these ahead of time, so I can go into my tenant. But that saves you a lot of time because you've actually got real fake users, excuse me, in which you've got photos of those users, you've got metadata about them, and allows you to then be able to prototype different solutions in an organization, a mythical organization. We also allow you to add mail and calendar events to each of those 16 users. So basically, you can click install and add these once your tenant is fully provisioned. And so that helps you. Both of these first two really help you with Microsoft Graph scenarios. And then we added a new one, and this has just come online in the last couple of months, and we're super excited about it, called the SharePoint Sample Data Pack. Now, I've already installed, there's two templates available. One that's basically a team site that actually integrates with the users and the mail and events that I talked about in the first sample data packs. And then we have another template that, and this is integration that we worked on very hard with the SharePoint PMP team, and we're integrating with the lookbook that SharePoint has in their PMP provisioning service. And these are the first two templates, but I'm excited to tell you that we will actually have all of the lookbook templates will be included in here. There should be almost, I think, about 10 to 12. And I wanted to just quickly show you the lookbook stuff. So for those of you out there that are big SharePoint fans, you can see here that we've got a number of these templates here. And what we've done is we've integrated with them through some APIs that they provided to us so that you can install these templates directly into your Microsoft 365 developer sandbox using our sample data pack install. So as I said, we have two templates available today, and we're going to have more templates available next month. Now, there's some questions that people had earlier about what happened to our sample data packs, why were they made unavailable? So as you know, with the COVID crisis, we had a huge amount of burden on our infrastructure. And hold on a minute, I'm trying to get back here. We had a huge amount of burden on our infrastructure, and provisioning for the tenants was taking a long time. So we ended up finding out through our telemetry that because the tenant provisioning was taking a long time, some people were trying to install sample data packs and they were erroring out, and we were getting very high failure rates. So because of the crisis over the last few months, we actually temporarily turned off sample data packs for those customers who had brand new tenants. I'm excited to tell you that we've really phenomenally built out our infrastructure over the last couple of months, and a huge new set of cores were added to the Azure infrastructure about a week and a half ago. And so we are seeing dramatically improved performance, and we have turned on the sample data packs for all customers who've had a tenant for at least 24 hours. We want that 24-hour period just so that we make sure that the tenant is fully provisioned with Exchange and a number of other services. Otherwise, you're going to get error rates. I'm excited to tell you that you can take advantage of our sample data, all three of our sample data packs, and feel free to try and use those. If you are setting up a new subscription, just make sure you give yourself 1 day before you try it, because that way that you'll be it'll ensure that your chances of having anything that's not provisioned are very low. And we apologize for some of this delay, but I hope you understand, given the infrastructural challenges that we're all facing all over the world during the COVID crisis, that we're trying to do our best here. Let's go to a couple of questions really quick, and we can see here. It says, if I have a tenant already, can I link it? So the answer to that question is no. If you've got a tenant already from some other source, or you're using a trial, you cannot link it into the dev program. You have to create your own tenant inside the dev program itself in order to be able to get access to this, as well as the sample data packs. Now, another good question from Derek. If we have a partner-based MSDN account from Competency, do we still get access to this E5 sandbox? I'm not seeing it as an option, just the EMS. I'm not sure what your partner-based MSDN account is, but if it is a Visual Studio Enterprise MSDN account, or it is a Visual Studio Pro, you should be getting access to the E5, the Microsoft 365 E5 SKU. So that should not be a problem. But if you're a different flavor, then you may not be able to, you will not have access to it. A couple of other questions I wanted to answer is audio conferencing trial available, assuming it's not included in the Microsoft 365 Dev subscription? So we don't have, audio conferencing is not included in the E5 subscription, and we don't offer that, but I'll definitely take that as feedback that, that you're asking for it. Let's see, some other questions. Jason asked about the sample data pack, so I think we answered that. So it says here, the continue button in the setup E5 subscription form is not enabled. No error shown. Any idea? Again, the continue button will be enabled once you've actually put in all the mandatory fields. So I would probably check on that to see if your mandatory fields have been all filled in with the proper values. And then this year's, okay, and then I think there's one more here from, it says Visual Studio Enterprise. Oh, Derek's, so yes, if it's a Visual Studio Enterprise, sorry, Derek, I'm catching up on your questions, and thanks for your patience. Derek, you were asking if it's a Visual Studio Enterprise MPN subscription, will that be included? Absolutely. A Visual Studio Enterprise MPN subscription does include the Microsoft 365 E5 SKU and the federation with the Microsoft 365 Dev program. Okay, great. Well, let's move on now to some of the other new capabilities that we have. I'm going to come back to our slides. Oops. There we go. So let me show you a couple things that we also have that are new introductions. So if you look down here, there's a new area in what we call your profile or your dashboard, and this is customized content. So when you enter in or you register for the developer program, and I'll go up here and I'll show you, we have a preferences experience where you can actually indicate what are the different products and technologies you're interested in, as well as the different code languages and platforms. Now, based on what you put in your preferences, we will then, in our dashboard, will basically allow you, we'll actually have customized content for you based on concepts, quick starts, and tutorials that we will feed you. And this allows you to get going quickly and easily in terms of learning how to develop in Microsoft 365. So this is a new capability we launched in the last month or so that we're super excited about, and we hope that will help you to dive deeper into the various workloads that we offer and the capabilities. Now, let's see. The other area is, let's talk a little bit about what's coming in June 2020. So one of our biggest challenges that we've been facing with our customers, they've been complaining a lot to us in user voice, and we want you to know you've been heard. It's taken us a little while to get this capability in place, and we're very sorry for the inconvenience. But a lot of existing customers prior to August who were already members of the Dev program and created a tenant, they had an Office 365 E3 tenant, and they wanted to actually get the benefits of Microsoft 365 E5. This was also true for our Visual Studio customers. So I'm really pleased to tell you we've been, in fact, I went through the bug bash testing on this just last week, and we will be rolling this out in June of 2020, which is just next month. And in your tile, you will have the ability, if you have an E3 subscription, you will have the ability in that E3 subscription right up here, you'll have this ability to delete the subscription and replace it with an E5. Now, this is not a delete subscription functionality for everybody for their tenant. This is only for people that have E3 subscriptions. But once you begin the deletion of your E3 tenant, you will have 60 days to migrate your data. So you'll have two tenants, essentially, your old E3 tenant and your new E5 tenant. And you'll be able to migrate. We've got some migration tools that will provide you an email to help you do that if you want to move data. Or if you don't need to move data, you can just, it'll blow itself away, it'll be deleted, and you can start all over again and create a fresh sandbox. So that's coming in June 2020, and I know that a lot of people were concerned about that, and we wanted to make sure that we addressed your needs there. What I want to do is take a few more questions, and let's look at some folks here. Will new features roll out to the dev tenants prior to a regular tenant so that we can test them? No, that's not what we do with the dev tenant. We try to actually have the dev tenant represent what's in production. So there's an insiders program that you can join if you like. And that insiders program does give you early builds. And that's something that you can do with your tenant if you want to. You have to go in yourself inside the Microsoft 365 tenant and join the Insiders program. I would suggest you search for the Microsoft Insiders program and look for the ways in which you can get that. But Matt, that's one of the ways that you can actually get earlier builds if you want to. One question that I just saw is, what counts as development activity? Does developing low code in Power Automate or Power Apps count? Actually, the good news is that we actually have added Power Apps into our telemetry. We're not at liberty to tell you all the things that we're measuring, primarily because we don't want to give people a roadmap to how to pirate the software. But we have seen lots of feedback from customers where they were asking for extensions on their tenants because they were doing Power Apps and Power Automate development. So we have added that capability into our telemetry, and so hopefully you will see that. And if you don't, feel free to let us know if your tenant has not renewed. You can actually go through an acceptance process that actually sends us notification and says, hey, could you please give me an exception? And you let us know specifically the kind of development you're doing. It helps us to get a better idea of whether or not our telemetry is missing something, and allows us to add new telemetry capabilities. So thanks for your question on that. Okay, we're almost at time. It's about 9:26 a.m. So I want to make sure that you don't forget to complete the survey. There's a number of links here that allow you to get to our latest videos. Once again, where to join the program. We've got some great new learning paths that you can take, as well as dev certification if you're not aware of that. So I encourage you to explore some of that. And in the last few minutes, I'm happy to take some other questions if people have them. So folks, if anybody has any questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. And if you don't, I really thank you for your time. And it's been a pleasure to explain some of the new capabilities we have in the dev program and the benefits that we offer. Thank you so much for all your time and energy in attending our new virtual build. And if you have any other questions, I'd be happy to try to answer in the time remaining. Okay, one question came in. Where can we learn what is part of the scope of these tools? For example, creating a client tool for Outlook 365 that would be available to employees regardless of the device they log in on. That is, let me see. If you're, I'm not quite clear on what you mean by a client tool. If you're thinking about an add-in, that would definitely be in the scope of what you would need to do here for these tools. And I would refer you to some of the content that we offer for people. If you indicate that you're interested in Outlook 365 add-ins, in your preferences, we'll be able to surface some of that information and tutorials, as well as quick starts in your personalized information in your dashboard. So that's probably my first answer on that. But I don't know exactly what you mean by client tool. So, and having said that, our add-ins will work across platforms. So you can have add-ins that are working on Android as well as iOS. So that cross-platform capability is definitely something you can explore. And our documentation helps to explain how you do that. Nice feedback from Jason. I really appreciate it. Mostly been disappointed with the 30-minute sessions, but not this one. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Super. I'm glad to hear that we were able to get that nailed. Alexi asked, is E3 to E5 migration automated, or do we have to do it ourselves? There is no automated migration of your data. What we've automated is the creation process. You do have to just make sure you give us your tenant ID and your admin ID and your password, but we do create the tenant for you. But the actual data migration, you have to do yourself. But there's some cool new tools that Microsoft just purchased back in October to allow you to migrate data from one M365 tenant to another one, and we include that in our email to you once you begin the migration. Benton, thank you. It says lots of fast info. You should get an hour or two. SharePoint is getting stiffed for attention these days. I agree with you, and it was a lot to cover. I wish I could have dove deeper into the SharePoint sample data pack, because I think there's a lot of rich capability there that we built in that really is exciting. And thanks, Benton, for the feedback. I really appreciate it. Well, listen, it's 9:30. I want to thank you all. There you go. It's 9:30. I want to thank you all again for attending Build 2020 and our expert Q&A today. And I hope you enjoy some of the new capabilities that we have in the Microsoft 365 developer program. And most importantly, I want to thank you very much from Microsoft for your support of the Microsoft 365 platform and the cool solutions that you guys create every day. Thank you, and have a great day.